Good morning. Today we are going to look at the perimeter and area of regular shapes and expressions. There are several ways you can do these problems, and so we're just going to show you one type of way to do it. Looking at number one, you could slice down here and make three separate rectangles. You could also go across. Another way you can go ahead and do this is to close up the box and subtract out the little rectangle from the big rectangle. So if we take the area of the big rectangle and subtract out the area of the small rectangle, that's going to give us the shape that we have left there. So the formula for the area of the big rectangle would be length times width, and we're going to subtract out the length and width of the smaller rectangle. So we have 100 multiplied by 60, and then we're going to subtract 45. And then we need to get this little dimension here. We know if this whole side over here is 60, this has to be 60 as well because of the 90-degree angles. So 60 minus 12 minus 34 is going to give us 14. And so we're going to multiply this by 14. You're going to go ahead and use your calculator to multiply out the second set of numbers. So 45 times 14 is going to give us 630. 100 times 60 is going to give us 6,000. And when we subtract that, we're going to get 5,370 feet squared, or square feet. To come up with the perimeter, we're just going to make sure we add up all the sides. So if you start here for the perimeter, we need to make sure we're walking all the way around the figure. So we've got 100 and 200. We have 60 and another 60. And then we need to take into account this little part here because we do need to walk through this part as well. So we've got 45 and 45. Once we add that all together, we are going to get 410 feet. So looking ahead to number two is very similar. The difference with number two is that we have an x where it says 45. And so when we go ahead and solve this out, we are going to be left with a variable in the end answer. So attacking it the same way, we have the area of the big rectangle minus the area of the small rectangle. So again, we have the length and width, and we want to subtract out the length and the width. So we have 60 times 100, and then we're going to subtract out 14 multiplied by x. And so when we leave our final answer, we will have a variable in it. So we'll have 6,000 minus 14x, and then this is feet squared. I've got a little bit more room here for the perimeter. So for the perimeter, we can go ahead and do it the way we were talking about in number one. So we have a 100 length. We have that twice. So we have two values that are 100. I like to look for patterns so that I can group them together. Here we've got 60, and then we have an additional 60s. So we have two sides that are 60, and then we have two lengths that are x. So 2 times 100 gives us 200. 2 times 60 gives us 120, and then the 2 times x is just 2x. So when we go ahead and add this together, we have 320 plus 2x, and then feet. Okay, taking a look at number 3. If we decide to close up the box, we need to make sure that we're going to subtract this out. So the question is, what are the dimensions of that extra box? We know the length is going to be 3x, And we need to determine what the length is here. If we know the whole thing is 14 and this top part is 5, 14 minus 5 is going to give us how much? And so when you look at that, 14 minus 5 is going to give you 9. So now we know that the area of the small box will be the 3x times 9. So doing these like we did the other one, we have the area of the big rectangle minus the area of the small rectangle. It's always important to start with your formula. So we have the length and the width minus the length and the width. So for the bigger rectangle, we're looking at 14 multiplied by 7x, and then we're going to subtract out 9 times 3x. So when you multiply 14 times 7 in your calculator, you're going to get 98x. Then 9 times 3x is going to give us 27x. And when you subtract those, you're going to get 71x. And then this is units squared. And the reason we're doing that is because they don't tell us what units that we actually need to use. For the perimeter, we need to walk all the way around the figure. So I'll show you a different way to attack it this time if you want to. If you're starting here, we're going to go up 7x and then over 5. We're going to go down 3x over 9. And then for this length here, 7x minus 3x will give us 4x. So we're going to add 4x. And then we need to end where we started, so we're going to add 14. So once we add that all together, we are going to get 14x plus 28, and then this is units. Okay, looking at number 4, it tells you that we have an area and a perimeter of a trapezoid. So looking at the trapezoid, we need to identify which one are the bases. So we know that this is a base, and this is the base. And then remember that our height is the perpendicular distance between the bases. So that makes the 12 the height. So for our formula, we have the height times the sum of the bases, divide by 2. And now we're just going to plug in the numbers. So we have 12 for the height. Our base, we have d plus 6. And then all divided by 2. So for the area, we don't need the 14. So the 12 and the 2 can cancel, so we're left with 6. And then we have 2d plus 6 on the inside. If we distribute, we're going to get 12d plus 36. And then this is also going to be units squared. Looking at the perimeter, we just need to walk ourselves all the way around the trapezoid. So we've got 12 plus d plus 14 plus d plus 6. Now we're going to go ahead and combine our like terms. So we have 2d. 12 plus 14 gives us 26, and 26 plus 6 gives us 32. And then this is going to be units. Okay, and I didn't realize that we had an extra question down under number 3, so we're going to go ahead and address that now. Sorry about that. It says, if the area is 781 square feet, what is the value of x? So we know that the area is going to be 71x, so we're going to let 71x equals 781, and then we're just going to solve that as a one-step equation. So if we multiply by the reciprocal on both sides, we are going to get 11. So that means that the value of x is going to be 11 units. And that is the end of part 1.